Hey Guardian, in this week's episode, we discuss our experiences in the latest Bungie expansion, Destiny 2 Final Shape. It's all Destiny 2 talk this week, and I wanted to let you know that some spoilers about the story campaign will be discussed in this episode. But rest assured that the post-campaign activities like the new Pale Heart location will only be impressions, and we'll discuss that in next week's show. Before I start the episode, I wanted to give a shout out to some people that don't hear it enough. In fact, what they usually hear is all of the negative and bad feedback. And that's the dev team of Bungie. You know, all of these employees have been through a lot this year with the fear of layoffs and uncertainty. With the gaming industry being so volatile these days, it can't be a great feeling to be looking over your shoulder in your job or in your life. So from one big Destiny nerd, I'm giving you a big air hug and a high five and just thanks for all the years of making this beautiful world we call the Destinyverse. And hey, thank you, dear listener, for being there with me along the way. So without further ado, on with the show. You ever wonder what makes a great gamer? Great gaming is not only about cheering on our teammates, but also being there to pick us up when we're down.
Guardian down!
Have you ever played Destiny with a fellow Guardian and thought to yourself, I wonder what their life is like? Questions like these spark conversation, friendship, and community. We're a Destiny 2 podcast that focuses on three things: community, news around the gaming industry and Destiny 2, and thought-provoking topics in the game. We're Guardian Downcast. Your stories, your community, your destiny. What's up, Guardian? Welcome to episode 255 of Guardian Downcast, the Destiny podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Todd the Gator, and I'm a day one Guardian who loves gaming and especially the Destiny franchise. And we're going to talk about it tonight. In this episode, it's all about the new Final Shape expansion, which dropped last Tuesday. I asked one of my past guests, who's also a community mod in our Discord, NicoakaJerzey, to join me, and we're comparing our initial impressions for the first week of the Final Shape. How you been, Nico?
I have been good. Working, gaming, and sleeping.
Nice. Yeah. That's third shift life, right?
Yeah.
I hear you, brother. I used to do it too, man. Well, in today's show, we're going to break it down like this. First, we'll talk about our day one Final Shape experiences. Next, we'll share our opinions of the campaign story itself and its individual story missions, and possibly maybe rate this expansion to all the past Destiny DLC we've been playing. Third, we'll talk about the post-campaign story process and the new Pale Heart gaming world that just opened up. Finally, what we thought about how it all ended after the Salvation's Edge raid race was completed and we got that final campaign story mission. By the time this episode will be released, it will have been nearly a week since the new expansion has dropped, so fair warning that some of the story elements and gameplay may be discussed in this episode. So if you're not quite done with the storyline, maybe put this episode off until next week. But if you're not worried about spoilers, then sit back and grab your popcorn. It's all Destiny 2 Final Shape talk tonight. So let's roll. Hey, thanks for listening to Guardian Downcast. There are several ways you can contact us. First, you can find us on X at Guardian_D_cast. Or you can find us on our Instagram channel at Guardian Downcast and see what pics and reels that I and our podcast guests want to share with you guys. You can send us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Guardian Downcast. You can send us an email at guardiandowncast@gmail.com. But if you just want to do it all in one spot, check out our new website. Just visit guardiandowncast.com. You can find all our contact info, leave us a voicemail, give us our show rating and review, search for any past episodes, or even get back to our community. Also, don't forget to sign up for future updates to the show, where we'll also have random drawings throughout the year, and you may win a gift card or even some Guardian Downcast merch. Our community thrives on interaction. So get involved and check us out. And later, Guardian. Well, Mr. Nico, NicoakaJerzey. Can I just call you Nico tonight?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I know you go by I Kill Things Nico. You have all these different names. I can't remember which one to call you, so I'm just going to call you Nico.
It's all good.
Hey, man, how you been? I saw some pictures in the Discord that you were just on vacation. How did that go, man? How was your trip?
The trip was good. 13 hours for a drive is never the best when you drive straight through. But, yeah, I got to see some family. I brought my PS5 because I'm like, all right, last weekend I got to grind out, this Into the Light stuff. Get to the house, see a TV, and I'm like, yes. And I get my PS5 in the house, and my cousin says, you have a TV in there, but it doesn't work. So I got to play Zero Destiny on my vacation.
Dude.
We came home on the 3rd, and I was like, all right, well, I guess it's going to be a grind, to get that done and get my shader.
Right.
And I try and load up Destiny, and I forgot it was going to be down 24 hours.
Yeah.
So no shader for me.
That's all right. I didn't get it either, man. I fell short. I was level, you had to be 16, I think, all I had to do was max out Shacks.
Yep.
I was level 15. I was like, man, I just don't have the time. And you know what? Super Black, hopefully they'll offer it another time. But I had heard a lot of people say, on shiny armor, it comes out light gray, but it does look good. They said on cloth, armor, which is what us warlocks wear. Right. So I figured I really wanted to try to get it, but I just ran out of time, dude. I prepped 3 accounts. And, I've played 2 accounts. I haven't played my 3rd account yet, but I played 2 accounts. I played the story twice, but we'll get into that. But where did you go, man? I'm curious. Where'd you go on vacay?
I went to my old stomping ground. I went back to visit New Jersey.
Nice.
Got to take my wife to some of my old places. Went to a mall. I mean, it's just a mall, but it was my mall. Mm-hmm. So she got to see that. There's this place called Red Bank National Park. It is literally on the Delaware. I think I got pictures of it. I'll have to post them up, but you can literally see the Philadelphia skyline from there.
Nice.
And then I took her to Atlantic City because, you got to go to the shore.
I saw the pic of her at the first time gambling at the slot machines, I think it was.
Oh, yeah. She sat down on my slot machine and she won. But she started getting bored, so I just did max bet. I mean, it was only $5 and ended that. But she got that. But Atlantic City was depressing, I have to say, from being there as a kid to now. With the hurricane and then the fire, it's a dead zone. We actually went to Wildwood so she could actually hop on some rides and really experience the boardwalk because Atlantic City just dropped the ball.
That's too bad, man. But I saw you. I think it was you were near some like historic stuff. Remember?
They added that stuff on the boardwalk on Atlantic City, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Because of, how bad it is. They're like, let's at least add some stuff. But they actually had one was, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I guess it was the lady that originally said that. And I was like, that's my line. And my wife goes, no, I'm pretty sure that was hers. And I'm like, just because it says that on the plaque does not mean it's not my line.
Okay. Oh, man. God, I've heard that saying so many times. Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, I'm glad you had a good vacation, man. And where is Beans from again? Is she from Jersey as well?
No, she's from Kentucky.
Okay, Kentucky area. Yeah, cool. So that was a kind of a new experience for her probably then.
Yeah, nice. She said she'd been to DC in high school, but it's not the same as actually being on the East Coast for a vacation.
No, DC is like it's like a wonderland compared to a lot of the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
It's very clean and not saying Jersey's dirty. I'm just saying it's very sanitized. It's all like museums and stuff, But
well, they call New Jersey the armpit of America.
I thought it was the Garden State.
Oh, it's the armpit of America.
Oh, okay.
The Garden State is just, the deodorant. It's a cover up.
Oh my God. There's our title.
But, no, I literally the entire time called it Dirty Jersey Beach, Dirty Jersey Water. Cause that's what it is.
Well, from what I hear, everything flows down from New York City. So
yeah,
that seems to be what most folks from New Jersey say is that, well, it's not our fault. We get all of New York's trash and stuff, right?
Well, look at the Jersey Shore cast. I think only one of them was actually from New Jersey.
Oh, wow. Never saw Jersey Shore. That was never a show I got into. But I know Pookie, and I've heard of the characters.
It's a Snooki.
Snooki, see? I'll edit that out. But yeah, good deal, man. I'm glad you had a good time. Did you need a vacation from your vacation? I know I usually do. Like, just resting from all the being on the road and stuff.
Well, so the first 53 hours there, I was awake, no sleep.
Oof.
So I didn't really sleep much on vacation, and then 26 total hours in a car. I needed sleep, and I've been working on sleep, trying to catch up the whole week while actually playing Destiny. So it's been fun.
I hear you, brother. Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you're able to at least get away, man. A lot of people don't get that option anymore. It's hard for people to take vacations, especially with kids, It's just so, the days I took little kids on vacations, it wore me out. And the comedians always make fun of it, but they always say they look at the dads that are on vacation with their families and it looks like they lost a bet. They're like just in a bad mood and sour grapes. And I can relate, man, because all you're thinking about is, geez, what's lunch going to cost today with 4 people? Oh my God. But you go all out on vacation, you don't worry about what stuff costs. At least you're not supposed to, but yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, man. I'm glad Beans did too. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it is June is in the air, man. My entire family, my immediate family, it's everyone's birthday in June. So we are a full family of Gemini. And then we have, my grandson coming in late June. It's up in the air still exactly what day, obviously, but they are going to get induced if it doesn't come at a certain date. So, I should say. My son's not going to have anything to do with that part, but, yeah, it's been birthdays, man. My daughter's birthday just rolled around. My wife's birthday was today, and my son's will be next week. My mom's is on Monday. Mine will be around Father's Day. It's just, and then my grandson sometime later in June. So it's going to be a full month, man. We're going to dinner with the whole family, my local, my mom and dad, my brother and sister and their spouses and kids and stuff, tomorrow. So I'll be editing like late into the night tomorrow night. But, yeah, it's just been crazy birthdays, birthday parties and stuff. We try to consolidate all that stuff, but it's just, you want everyone to have a special day. It's their birthday, Right. So birthday cakes are flowing. I'm probably going to gain 10 pounds by the time I get through June. Happens every year, man, because I love cake. I can't resist cake. And, and playing Destiny, man. I've been pacing myself playing Destiny, but when Final Shape dropped, I think I've been playing like 4 days straight. Yeah, 4 days straight. So yeah, I had a little bit of a nap today. So I'm refreshed and ready to go here. But I was curious, man. Let's talk about first our day one experience. Now, did you play on launch day or did you play after launch?
I did not. I tried to get on Tuesday, but it's just, I would get on, get kicked off, get on, kicked off. And then they took it offline for a little bit. And I was like, I'm just going to wait, get my sleep in today because I know the next few days I'm not going to be sleeping much.
Yeah. That was smart. That was probably pretty smart. I got a little luckier. I hopped on about 1:20 right after reset on Tuesday. And I think it took me 15 minutes to get into the servers. I got in the game. I got to the first cutscene, which I heard is what people were complaining about, that they were getting kicked where they missed the cutscene, the transmigration story. But I was not kicked to orbit. No error codes. And then I think I played for a good 4 hours straight. And then 5 o'clock Eastern hit. which was when everyone's getting home from work, right? Jumping on to play.
Yeah.
And, I got an occasional error code. I got kicked a couple times, but, I was able to get back in. But about an hour later, right at 6:00, the current error codes were rampant. And anytime I tried to get back in, I could get into the game in orbit, but as soon as I went to the Pale Heart, I would even make it as far as the campsite and then immediately get booted. So I just decided, you know what? I've been playing for 4 hours. I want to go grab some dinner. Gonna talk with the missus, chill for a few hours. And then I tried to come back around midnight, I'd say. I kind of took my time coming back. And I'd been keeping an eye on Destiny Help, on Twitter X for updates. And it seemed like they were working on it. And it wasn't until about 1:30 a.m. that I was able to finally get back in. And that's when they were refreshing around sometime in that late night. They decided to, I think that's at the time when they were going to reset all the servers and re-roll out a little server refresh. And once they did that, I was pretty good. Maybe that was next morning. I can't remember. It was that whole night was kind of a blur, but I do remember logging in late at night once the traffic was lower, and I was able to get at least an hour, I think, in. But I think when I woke up the next morning is when they decided to refresh the servers, and yeah, it was good. I was able to finish up my Legends solo run, which is the very first time I ran through it, and that was that. So, well, let's do this, man. When I was watching the raid race yesterday, and we'll talk about that later on in the show, but what I did was I actually played my other account on normal because, you're guaranteed, 1960 gear and a choice of, exotic when you finish the Legend solo. And, there's 34 steps total in the story missions, including, visiting an area. You got to interact with something. You got to talk to an NPC. It starts with a little catch-up mini story and kind of brings everyone up to speed. It's like they thought of the people who hadn't played Destiny in months. And the opening cutscene I thought was pretty well done. It starts out with you, Zavala, and Ikora heading into the portal to the Traveler. And, really most of the campaign revolves around these three characters. And there's some others that come in later too, but I love how they showed your ship crashing at the moment. The very first story, Transmigration. Yeah. Where you see your actual ship crashing and then you teleporting out before it crashes. And, another thing I noticed too, did you notice that things seem to be a little brighter, more colorful in this expansion, or is it just me?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's real bright.
I can honestly say, compared to Lightfall, I thought it was a lot more beautiful and a lot brighter.
Yeah. Well, let's go just quickly story by story here and what we thought about each of the stories. I kind of wrote notes down as I played through each story on normal the second time around, and the first thing that I liked about Transmigration, obviously, we're having to work our way. We crashed before we could actually go into the portal, so we had a lot of traversing to do, right? Through this weird pale space, like a bunch of like floating debris and stuff that we had to slowly climb our way through the portal. And I love that when we first start playing this story, when we first step in there to get the Transcendence, they give us a test run of the Transcendence, right? You go into the pool. Yeah. You have to fight some stuff that has that pink border on it. And I love the animation where the light and dark side of you, the Guardian, was fighting each other. You were like struggling. And then finally you come together in this giant, powerful explosion of power. The way they showed that was so cool, how that was done. You get to the outskirts of the last city where you're crossing through the threshold, and you of course have that guiding eagle. Is it an eagle? I want to say it's an eagle or a falcon. I don't know what they call it.
I thought it was a falcon.
Okay. Either way, and this is the Traveler showing your way. You know what it reminded me of? The very first part of Destiny 2, when Gaul kicks you off the ship and you have no powers. You're just limping along. And then you have this beautiful bird that just gives you little audible notifications and shows you where to go. And I thought that was really nice to have that at the beginning, because you're so disoriented going into this at the beginning that it was really nice to have that, to know that it was pretty cool. And they had a new mechanic they started with, where you had to remove these darkness locks on the door. I think there was a big ogre you had to battle through as well. But then you get the new Transcendence subclass. And like I said, the way your body is trying to accept it, it was really cool how that worked. But I'm curious, how did you set up your Transcendent subclass originally? I know they give you limited options at first, but what was your setup when you ran it?
I honestly kept it the same pretty much all the way through, and that was with the stasis ultimate, and then the void grenade, because I don't know, just having with that devour, it was enough to keep you alive, especially since I played it on legendary.
Right.
I definitely needed that. I do like how they kept that Falcon all the way through. Like, it wasn't like, okay, here's the opening, here's this thing, now forget about it. They kept everything very connected throughout.
Absolutely. And that was very important, because they had to guide you to the Lost City, right? It's the old tower, just reimagined in the Pale Heart, you know? And it's really weird. When you're in the Pale Heart, things that are imagined are considered like darkness, and things that are actually physically, not imagined, but real, or maybe you think about it and becomes real, is considered part of the light. And, I thought that was a cool metaphor, the way when you're getting into trying to get through the portal, you had to, you got the acorns again, like, in the, Ron raid, you had to energize I call them the acorns. That's what they look like to me. The little orbs, and you got the darkness buff and stuff. And when you first set it up, it would show you all the platforms, but imagined. And then you would go kill the next yellow bar and get the light orb. And then that imagined became real. And that really sunk in right off the bat. You were sinking in that things that in your imagination aren't real. That's the darkness, and things that are physically in front of you and that you're looking at are considered the light. I know there's people saying, no, Gator, that's not the way it is, but that's at least the way they portrayed it when I first went in there, Right. So, I chose I of course brought a Warlock in like yourself. I chose the Phoenix Dive because I'd had so much luck with the Phoenix Dive on a lot of, higher end content, and before Final Shape came, it's nice to just dive down out of trouble and get cure instantly. I use Strafe Glide because that's the only way to use a Warlock. So you can hover in the air forever and curve around weird obstacles and stuff while there's big giant bosses chasing you with a sword and sickles and stuff, I used, my Vortex Grenade, which, thinking back, I probably should have gone with something else, but that was sufficed. And I used the Stasis Super first, when I did it on Legend, but I switched it up and I went to an actual Cataclysm Nova Bomb Super the second time around on normal. And, I still like my Nova Bomb, man. I gotta say, don't get me wrong, it's nice freezing stuff and smacking them in the head, but the Nova Bomb would just melt a lot of these yellow bar enemies, But,
I actually swapped to the, Cataclysm Nova Bomb, I want to say, for like the last 3 missions, because you just needed that little boost, and freezing people and bosses just was not good enough.
Yeah. Of course, the aspects, you only have 2. But the one thing I love, and I have to admit this, I didn't think I'd be using Transcendence, because when I played Lightfall, they give you a little taste of the stasis. I'm sorry, what's the other green subclass?
Strand.
The Strand, thank you. My mind's not quite there yet. I'm a little out of it today. The Strand subclass, I was like, yeah, this is nice and all, but I don't have all the aspects and fragments, and I'm just going to wait to try it out once I'm done with the campaign and stuff. But for the first time ever, man, this Transcendent subclass, I use it entirely. Even today, I have not switched off of it. I have not gone back to my Voidwalker. There's so many good things in this subclass. And the one thing I've got to say that I love doing, the one thing I eventually switched to is, part of going back a little bit here, one of the one of the things you could do as far as your aspects is you could throw down a Bleak Watcher freezing turret. And it was the best of both worlds, man. You could eat your grenade, throw down a turret, and freeze your enemies while you were shooting them. They were keeping all your enemies busy while you were just sitting there plinking away at them. And that was, I got to admit, man, especially in the higher end, the end game stuff, it was really nice to have those. I still have not taken the Bleak Watcher turrets off. They're just that good.
Yeah, it has saved my butt.
Now, one thing I did switch to as I got further into the game, there really wasn't much to use in your exotic armor that really benefited more than that Transcendent subclass. But I eventually switched. Initially I was using my Ophidian aspects because it was reloading everything ultra quick. I was aiming down the sights quick, which is kind of what and normally I would use Controverse Hold, but now I'm using stasis turrets, Bleak Watchers. So those don't apply anymore. So I'm thinking, what gauntlet can I use that's going to give me some benefit here? So I use the Ophidian aspects, but then I switched over to the Getaway Artist because as you start playing through this game, you start unlocking more grenades. You basically unlock a grenade for each subclass, each element. And I switched over to the storm grenades, and I'm using the Getaway Artist. So here's what happens. When I eat a grenade, I'm throwing a stasis turret down, and I got an arc buddy that's shooting. I have two things shooting at the enemy at one time, and I'm not even pulled my gun up yet. That's how versatile this new Transcendent subclass is. You had a couple options when it came to aspects, but I stuck with Facet of Ruin, which gives you more damage from shatter and solar ignitions. Facet of Protection, when you're surrounded, you're more resistant to incoming damage. That was really big, especially playing Legend.
Oh yeah.
Facet of Dawn, powered hits make you radiant. That's really powerful for DPS. Facet of Courage, arc, solar, and void abilities do more damage when enemies have darkness debuffs. Well, I'm throwing down a damn stasis turret. So there's your darkness debuff. They're getting frozen. So everything else that I'm using has much more power. So that's pretty cool. Facet of Purpose, when you pick up an orb, it grants Amplified, Restoration, Frost Armor, and Woven Mail, or an Overshield, which is what I got because I was using the Void. At first I was using the Void grenades, but then I was getting Amplified, which let me tell you, man, when you're Amplified, and see, I'm not used to being Amplified because I don't use the Arc subclass much. I'd only use it when I had my Titan because I love my Superman Slam.
Right.
But it's so nice being able to boogie to get the stuff in midair, or especially when an enemy's trying to freeze you or something. Man, Amplified saved my butt a lot too. So that's what I ended up finishing on, was that setup. But the one thing I wanted to mention here for folks who haven't really played a whole lot yet, just a little tip. To activate your Transcendence, you have the light bar and the dark bar down below. Using a darkness weapon like a stasis or strand, combined with a light weapon like a solar, void, or arc weapon, will speed up the charge rate on each side, basically on what kills you're getting with either the abilities or the weapons. Kinetic weapons, however, fill both bars. And the debuffs and ability stuff also counts. So it might be good to hold a kinetic weapon in your hand if you're trying to really get Transcendence to charge up quicker. But yeah, it was really good. So, we fight, they test it out, we fight and use our we use our Transcendence right there at the old tower. They throw some stuff at you. You get your first Subjugator. That's the new, what's that race called again? I can't remember the name of that race.
I couldn't remember either.
Well, the Subjugator, it's like one of the big boys, but it has a lot of extra things. It can freeze you. The strand abilities that thing has where it can pull you toward it. Those are killers. Yes. You just gotta be around cover all the time. But, the final cutscene where you find Cade finally, and he turns around, he hears your footsteps, he throws that harmonica at you. And by the time you catch the harmonica, he already has the Ace of Spades aiming right at your head. That was such a cool part of the story, where he does that.
Yeah, I liked how he was like, oh, well, you couldn't sneak up on me either, because I guess he was waiting for Crow.
Yeah, because Crow was out and about. As far as the cutscenes, they had found each other, of course, from the end cutscene of Season of the Wish, right?
Right.
And Crow is out trying to look at some anomaly, which, you know, that brings you into the next mission. But, there was an Inkblot story, you know, Cade explains what happened to him. Really good Inkblot story. The mission was about an hour long because, you know, it's the first part. You're trying to get into the Traveler and stuff, into the Pale Heart. So there's a little bit extra time having to get to areas and stuff. Yeah. As soon as you get to the Ghost at the old city, once Cade's done talking to you, and that seems to be the hub, is your Ghost. You actually talk to your Ghost as an NPC at the Lost City. And, apparently that's where the seasonal hub's going to be as well.
Which I think is a fantastic idea.
Yeah. It's really cool. As soon as I did that, you get your artifact. And what do you think I did when I got my artifact?
Turned in your bounties?
Hell yeah, dude. Turned in my bounties. I immediately went to orbit. I went to the war table because, you can pick up the new episode Echoes, which is coming out on reset. You can pick up the first mission, which basically sets it up. It just tells you, hey, wait for reset on Tuesday to find out what's going on. But you have it in hand, you know, it kind of sets it up the season coming up. But, you know, dude, the one thing I love about the way they did this time around is they want you to play the story first without fail. They don't want you deviating. I went to the tower to pick up some weapon bounties from the gunsmith, and they're like, dude, you really should go back and play the story. Don't really want to wander off too much here, you know? And I was like, man, that's the first time Bungie's ever told me to do that, you know?
Yeah, I really like that.
So yeah, I cranked out all my bounties. I think I've got a +7 in power and, you know, moved up the charts a little bit, unlocked some stuff. The one thing I will say, man, and I don't know if you agree with this, but they throw two things at you a lot when you're playing the campaign. They throw tons of glimmer at you. Oh, I maxed out a glimmer really quick, and they throw a ton of upgrade modules. I was packing them away. I couldn't find anywhere else to put them. They were bursting at the seams, man. All these upgrade modules. Did you have that problem, or because I, of course, had stored some up, getting ready for the season. But did you have that problem?
I had that problem, but that could also be playing on Legend because you also get bonus modules while playing on Legend. Yeah,
double chest. There were some chests where all they would give you was an upgrade module in Glimmer. Yeah. I'm like, dude, there's no legendary Ingram here. And a lot of times they wouldn't give you one. That was a little different from the Lightfall.
See, I went to the tower to turn in my engrams because I ended up full. Right. And that's when I got that notification of like, you need to stay on the story. And I was like, no, I need to turn these in because I'm full.
Bungie telling me what to do. What the hell's going on here? They're getting a little sassy. Hey, you need to go back and play the story, bud. Okay? We copacetic here? Huh? So I kind of like that message. I did want to let everybody know if, you did not have the season pass, which most people who bought the game, the first season's included, but I had an alternate account. So I had to at least buy I could play the game because it was on the same PS5, but I had to buy the season pass. Just let you know, it's 1,500 silver now. It's not 1,000. So it's $15 for the season pass, which, all right, whatever. You know, that includes 3 acts because it's not a season anymore. It's an episode. So that includes 3 acts. So I guess that's worth the extra $5. But just want to let people know who maybe are playing on another account on the same console, you know, that they're authorized user or it's their home console or whatever. 1,500, not 1,000. So just a little PSA there. But what did you think, man? After finishing that first story, what were your overall, thoughts about going into this?
Well, for one, I really like those prismatic platforms that they guide you across at the one point.
Yes.
I thought they were cool. Beautiful. I was worried I was going to fall through.
Yeah, me too.
I kept walking.
I kept like, jumping.
I don't know.
I kept jumping. I was like, dude, just walk. Just walk.
Yeah, chill I did out. The same thing.
Yeah.
But cool. Honestly, I got chills. Like my heart started racing and like nothing happened, but I was already emotional. Like I was already completely in. I was like,
wow.
Oh man, I know what's coming is going to be insane, especially when you see Cade and it's just the normal Cade, you know, mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, this is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I don't get emotional with video games. I just don't. When video game writing is up to the same level as movie scripts, then, you know, where there's a lot of little stuff, little subtle things that tug at your heartstrings. I just don't get very emotional with video games. I just never can explain it. I just, I'm kind of just, okay, this is the game. I'm moving on to the next part, and it sounds cold, but I really wasn't emotional. I was just really excited that I finally made it into the Pale Heart. I'm like, okay, we have base camp now. Now what are we doing? So that brings us into our second story, which is called Temptation. And what we're doing basically is we're going with Cade to find Crow. Crow found an anomaly. He reported an anomaly earlier, and Cade's like, "Hey, you want to join up with me? Let's go find Crow and see what's going on, right?" And they had this 3 conduits puzzle. It was a new mechanic where you had to line up these conduit dials. And once you lined them all up, then it brought out the big boss, which was a huge cabal. Man, I gotta admit, the boss fights were epic in this game.
Oh yeah.
I'd see a boss, I'm like, I haven't seen that one before. Damn. So, another subjugator. You get your first prismatic reward chest after that fight. Let's see. And the thing that I noticed about this game is you kept going through these, what I call witness temptation caves. You would crawl through these caves where the witness would start whispering and trying to convert you, to give yourself to the darkness, right?
Yeah.
And they were a little tough to traverse. There were a lot of tricky little turns and jumps up, and I thought that was interesting. And my God, hands off to the art team. I mean, there's gore growing everywhere. There's areas that are light. You see faces, you see fingers, you see expressions and just the weirdest stuff, man. But the lighting, everything, the lighting in certain corners and stuff, I thought was just perfect, man.
It took me 21 and a half hours to complete the campaign.
Really?
Part of that was walking around screenshotting because of how beautiful I thought it was.
Exactly. It just looks so good, man. It just looks so good. The witness tries to tell you this twisted story about Crow and how Crow resisted, and they shared how they offered, said, hey, Crow resisted, but this can be yours, I felt like I was getting pitched every time I went through these damn caves. I was like, okay, what's the witness got for me now? What are you offering? What do you got on the table, witness?
Well, I messaged you at one point because I think it's later on. He basically offers you the ability to be a god.
Oh yeah, I'll get to that. I'll definitely get to that. I wrote that down and I had to laugh, man. I had to laugh when I wrote that down. But then you come to a conversation between Crow and Kay. We finally catch up with Crow. We confer with our ghost again, which seems to be the pattern. It's go to the campfire, hear the dialogue, talk to your ghost, and then you got to tune into these little radios that are at the campfire, which is kind of odd because you were just talking to these people at the campfire, and now you're talking to them again through a radio. And it's like, why are we going through this step? Why can't they just tell us while we're at the campfire? If Crow leaves and Cade needs to tell me something, then stick around, Cade, and just tell me. Don't make me go to this radio every time. But did that annoy you at all, or was that just like whatever?
Not really, for the fact of, like, Crow would leave. So even if Cade stayed there, you would still need to get the conversation from Crow. So it kind of made sense linking it together.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I questioned was Cade doesn't have a ghost. So how does he just appear and reappear? Because I always thought that was like a light thing.
Well, he went invisible. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a light power. I don't know. I didn't question it. I when you go to see a movie, you got to suspend your disbelief and just go with the flow. And I gave Bungie a lot of latitude on that stuff because it was technical. And I'm like, I could see how people could see it that way, but maybe he has extra powers while he's in the Pale Heart. And I hate to say this, but I knew from day one something about Cade. And I don't want to share it because I don't want to spoil that part. I want people to find that out for themselves. But of course, the first thing they offer you in the season pass is only my most used weapon of all time in Destiny, and that's the Red Death. Did you use this rifle? This rifle's never left my side the whole game.
So I was using it for a while, but there's just something about my Outbreak Perfected that it saved my butt.
And they
more
boosted
than the Red Death. Yeah.
They boosted it with a patch, right when Final Shape.
Right.
I guess it got more power or more powerful or.
Yeah. And I still haven't done the mission to get the, created one.
See, I did all that. I killed myself before. That's why I didn't get my super black shader, because I was killing myself to get all of the I got the exotic ship. In fact, I'm floating in the air right now with it. I'm really proud of that ship because I know what I had to do to go through to get that thing.
Right.
But, dude, the Red Death is just outstanding. And I'm hearing True Vanguard saying it works really nicely in the Crucible. It's got just fantastic base range, and I can use it like a scout rifle. It's that good. And you get instant cure, man. And it's not like you start healing. You just get boom energy, boom health, boom health. And supposedly the catalyst for this, which I haven't gotten yet, is, I think you have to get it later in the seasons or, Act 2 maybe or something. It actually, you build up charges every time you get a kill. And then when you finally kill something, and you can hold down your reload button or something, and you actually explode with health where you can heal your whole team and stuff that's in a certain area. That is going to be, so that sounds cool. That's not leaving my side. The Red Death will be permanently glued to my myriad of weapons that I have in my holster. So yeah. And I used the one weapon for my heavy, I pretty much used I don't even have one crafted, but I got a really good rolled, commemoration with reconstruction and rampage. And, this thing just mowed down enemies so well. It's such a stable 100 recoil direction. I mean, it's just such a stable machine gun, and it's void. So it fits in with my subclass and stuff. So, but, we got this new sidearm. I'm sure you've gotten it. I've gotten like 8 of these things. The Call. This thing is fantastic, man. What do you think of this thing? What roll did you get, by the way? Or what is your favorite roll if you've gotten several? Because I've gotten like 5 of these, I think.
I've got a bunch, but the one I was using was Adrenaline Junkie and Slice. Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah. I will say I pulled Gnawing Hunger out of the vault. Never used it. Oh. But the Void Shields were just kind of getting on my nerves a little bit. Okay. Because I was using my Amit, so I wasn't doing much against those shields. So I was like, all right, let me just pull out Gnawing Hunger. And on that, I've got auto loading holster and multi-clip. That's nice. And that gun I carried through almost the entire story. I played all the way through the Call with Demolitionist and Vorpal Weapon. My Red Death in my energy slot and my Commemoration never changed up at all. I used those 3 weapons just like the entire time. And it's a sidearm. You'll always got to use a sidearm, folks, just so you know. But yeah, that's, that setup was just worked so well for me. But that mission took me about 35 minutes. The second story. Then we go into the third story, which is, and I had to look this up. The story is called, I'm going to try to say this right, Exegesis, which I looked it up, means a critical explanation of a text, like scripture. So that gives you an indication we're looking for our core ship. We have this new, crystalline keys we have to use to open up all these doors. There's the light and dark plates again. Like, this brought me back to the one dungeon from the 30th anniversary edition. Grasp of Avarice. Is that it? Yeah. Oh, yes. No. The one where you go down the big super slides. Is that Grasp? It's Grasp of Avarice. At the very beginning, you got to turn in those things before they explode to the crystals. Right. Okay. Yeah. Maybe you're right there. I'm thinking that's another. No, I don't know. Anyway, people are yelling at their earbuds right now. These guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. They can't even remember the name of the stupid dungeons they played. Anyway, they use the light and dark plates, where you have to empower them and you have to use them in like combination. And can I just tell you this? Husk, these little shits are a pain in the ass, man. They come out and they knife you, which hurt. But then you shoot and kill them and then these damn worms come flying at you. And they hurt too, man. There were several times that I died because I would kill the close range husk, and that damn worm would finish me off because it just was just brutal, man. Brutal. That's because you weren't shooting it in the right spot. Is that what it was? So if you shoot it in the stomach, you believe it. It seemed like it didn't seem like
Nico, it didn't matter where I shot this damn thing. That damn worm was coming after me, man. It had my name.
So I think the way it works is when you shoot its head off, it opens up the body, which brings it out. But if you blow up the body, it blows up from the inside.
I'll try that. I'll look closer when I'm shooting them next time. But they have these damn, it
reminded me of the loosened butterflies.
Those two were a pain in the butt. Yeah, we can counter those later. But yeah, we had to open up several doors. We got another prismatic reward chest. Then we had to investigate Ikora's ship. We use an Aegis a lot. Use an Aegis a lot in this whole campaign, and a lot of moats. Bring it back. They're trying to keep us in that Gambit mindset, right? With the moats. It was really cool though. We encountered, I guess, our first tormentor shows up there. He was kind of tough. Remember, I was playing on Legend the first time.
Yeah.
We talked to Ikora. We kind of see a cutscene of what she thinks is going on between the Traveler and the Witness, the relationship of light and dark, and how the Witness decides your purpose is what is basically the final shape. We get back to the campsite, and like I said, I am not one to get emotional about video games, but there was a really touching scene between Cade and Ikora at the campfire when we got back, and my wife must have been cutting some onions or something because I was itching my eyes a little bit. I couldn't tell what was going on, but I was getting a little choked up, man. Getting a little choked up.
Yeah, a little bit of the allergies going on.
I think that's what it was, man. It's really dry and hot right here in Florida right now, so it had to be it. It's probably the pollen and seeds and all that crap floating around.
That hay fever.
That's probably what it is. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't want to share too much what happens there because I want people to, let's face it, most people who are tuning in right now have already played the campaign, and we're just kind of talking about our impressions of it and how what we thought about each story and everything. And the one thing that the Ghost says that really hit home to me is he says, you can't bottle life. You can't bottle it. And that's succinctly the point why we have to stop the Witness, right? The Witness thinks that everything should be frozen in this certain state. That's the final shape. And we're like, no, dog, that isn't how it's done. So
there's also another line that the Ghost says that I don't know why it triggered me to laugh out loud.
Really?
But there's a little interaction with Cade, and your Ghost goes, well, I like Crow's haircut.
Yes, that was good.
It killed me. I don't know why. It cracked me up.
Dude, Cade was ragging on Crow the entire mission, the entire campaign, and I loved it. I was all about it, man.
Oh, yeah.
That story took about half an hour for me on normal. And one thing that Ikora was curious about is when she asked Cade, what did you see when you died, And I thought that was a touching story as well. So then we jump into the fourth story. That's called Requiem. It's where we actually go and search for Zavala. It was ourselves, Zavala, and Ikora. We were all flying in with our separate ships into this portal, trying to get into the Paleheart inside the Traveler, and we all three crash. So the first part of the story, let's just say it's not the most exciting, but you pretty much have structure to the story. We're trying to find Crow. We meet, then we're going to try to find, Ikora, talk to her. And then finally we're going to look for Zavala. And, the one thing I got to say, man, in this whole campaign is there were different mechanics all along the way, mechanics that we've used before in past DLCs. And I thought it was neat how they were bringing all these mechanics back into the game to kind of refresh our memory on stuff,
Yeah, it was nice that it literally felt like the past 10 years were all brought into one campaign, and you got to relive little by little throughout. And what I really liked was that every time you did a mission, you weren't really going back and running around in the same area. Yeah. You were going back to your Ghost, but it literally moved forward, and you moved forward, and it was something new, which I thought was much better than previous expansions.
And to add to that, I think this is the first time ever that we have had an end-to-end story in Destiny. Because if you think about it, even go back to the original story of Destiny, when I played Destiny, the original Destiny 1 game in 2014, you would do a couple stories, right? You'd get some stuff done. You'd investigate this area, and then they send you to go do a strike that had really nothing to do with the story, but it was just one of the strikes in the game, you know, and you do that and you jump back in and you come back into the story, and then they go tell you, go play some Crucible or, gain some points by doing this or that. And it had nothing to do with the story. And then of course,
control.
Yes, exactly. And also the fact that at the end of the story of Destiny, and spoiler alert for you who haven't played Destiny, it's so open-ended. There's so many open loops when you play the original Destiny that you almost scratch your head and go, well, why did I just play that? What did I accomplish? What was accomplished by playing this storyline in Destiny? And, you know, we know their past. We know that Bungie had to totally rearrange and totally revamp their storyline in Destiny. The first one they didn't like or didn't test well or something, or there was internal strife in the studio, a power struggle. And finally they basically shit canned the old story and came up with this one. So I guess I give them a little bit of a pass there because it was last minute. They had to put something together for Destiny. But it seems like in this story campaign, one, they wanted you to stick with the story. They didn't want you to go play Strikes and Crucible and Gambit, or they didn't even want you to go to the Tower. They wanted you to stick in the Pale Heart and stay in the Pale Heart and play this story through. Yeah. And I really love that about it. It felt like the story, like you just said, man, from story to story, it all flowed together. It's literally like we were reading a book and playing it. Yeah.
It was a movie in video game form for sure.
It was really done well. We faced our first Omen of the Witness. These are kind of like the upper tier. They're not the big boys we see in the raids, the Tormentors, but they're kind of like a lieutenant. They have annoying stuff like they can freeze you and they can grab you with strand. So stuff like that, very annoying. And they're pretty beefy. But I found out that a Nova Bomb obliterates them pretty quick if you hit them up close with a Cataclysm. So we get a lot of banter from Ikora, the Witness, and Cade. We start falling. And that's another thing. We seem to fight every race in this story. In Requiem, it's all about the House Salvation. It's the Dark Fallen, you know, and those damn exploder shanks that came up behind me from nowhere when I'm in caves. Annoying as hell. Annoying as hell, Bungie. Yeah. I don't know, where they just, through osmosis come out of the wall? I'm sitting there fighting my way through, and all of a sudden there's an exploder shank behind me. And I'm like, I know that thing wasn't there. It just freaking appeared. And, just a little annoying there. We played against the House Salvation.
I'm that guy that tries to do the finisher on the exploder shanks and kill myself every time.
Why,
it's
dude?
just reflex. No. I just see the dot and I'm like, go. And like, oh,
run away. Don't use a sword on him either. Yeah.
Yeah.
We go through another in Requiem, we go through another, what I call the Witness Whisper Cave. And, it talks about how Zavala rebuffed anything they offered him his kids, his child and his wife to come back from the dead. And then, it showed a lot of backstory, which was very touching, where Zavala was pleading to his ghost to bring his wife back and his child back, and talks about some of that we got from, Season of the Haunted, had a lot of story there that was drawn out a little more in detail. So that's another loop we have closed up in the story.
Yeah.
And then then he hears from these veiled statues that are everywhere. Zavala swears that he hears a statue say, "Help me." That really sends Zavala down a rabbit hole. It really does. He's spinning out of control after he hears that. And, we go back to the campfire. That seems to be how all the stories end. As you go back to the campfire, you hear some dialogue. Another touching moment between Zavala and Cade. Like I said, I'll let you experience that if you haven't already, but that was very touching. The allergies were just really creeping up on me. Must have been that time of day, I guess. But, another thing I loved too was Crow actually talks about Amanda to Cade, talks about what happened to Amanda and, and how she was always like a superhero, that she would never give up. And then Cade mentioned some stuff about Amanda's past, about things she used to do in the tower. And,
yeah,
I love that part of the dialogue. It was so good when they said that. Oh, and by the way, Blue Ingrams are back.
Yeah.
The Blues are back, baby.
That was the mission where you're fighting at like Zavala's house, right?
Yes. The big brig. Oh my God, that brig.
So I've got a little cheese for that fight.
Oh, okay.
Especially if you're doing it on Legend.
Okay.
I stayed on the roof of the house the entire time.
Really? Nothing touched you?
The house as nothing touched me. I used the house as cover. Wow. I mean, yeah, you're getting fire from some of the sides, but the exploder shanks just go circle the house. You don't have to worry about them at all.
See, the problem I had, Nico, was those damn vandals over on the hillside kept just trying to pot shot me the whole time. So I had to take them out really quick because they were annoying as hell. A sniper resistance mod. Yeah, that's true. Sniper resistance mod probably would be helpful there when you're playing that story. Just a little tip there. I did not know that, man. Staying on the thatch roof, huh? Okay.
Yep. And as it moves, you just switch which side you're standing on. So when it fires its missiles, it hits the roof and the chimney and clips, and you don't get hit.
And another thing, too, that seems to be happening in this story is Cade and Crow are starting to tie up their loose ends. They're starting to understand each other, and I just thought that was, you know me, man, it's all about character development for me. Whether I'm watching a movie, playing a video game or whatever, the character development was just off the charts in this campaign. So
I literally have that down as a note. Character development. Wow.
Yes. It was, the characters were flushed out so well. There's so much backstory. Bungie, are you listening? Please do this in whatever you make in the future. We love this stuff. We eat this up. Knowing little intricacies about Amanda and the back and forth between Cade and Crow is just, that's fantastic content. That makes it real. It makes it seem real, you know? That's the stuff that draws me into a video game. So they're not cartoon characters anymore, you know? That story took me about 40 minutes on normal, just so you know. It's a little bit longer story. And then we got the fifth story, which is called Ascent. It's where we actually, and that's another thing, the environments are so different between story to story. You're in these different areas of the Paleheart, kind of educating you on the different areas, right?
Yeah.
So we're climbing an ice mountain now with Cade and Crow. You know, more mechanics. Then we hear this really eerie scream. And I think it was mentioned in the dialogue that was the Traveler screaming for help.
Yes.
That freaked me out, man. That screech was haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. There's a very, very important story element in story 5. I don't know if I want to share it. I know we've shared a lot about what the story is about, but I think this is one I want to keep and let people figure out who haven't played the game yet. There's a very big story element between Crow and Cade. I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
Another Omen of the Witness kicking our ass. I mean, you're playing on Legend. It's definitely a step up. Then we got Vex. Then we're starting to fight Vex enemies. We get running some Transcendent enemies again. We have to start using our Transcendence. And then we give you Transcendent pools to charge it up really quick, which really was a nice, because, you know, if you're using a lot of light weapons like my Red Death, you're not using a lot of your Transcendent stuff, or you're not using a lot of your, like my sidearm, the call. That doesn't balance out. You get one side of your Transcendence maxed out and then the other side's lacking. So it was really nice to be able to jump on those pools and charge up to face them down, you know?
Yeah, if we didn't have those in Legend, I probably would still be doing the campaign.
And then this story is one of the very tough battles that took me a while to get through. And that was the Unwaking Mind. It was a gigantic, Vex. What do they call the Vex that are in the shields that rotate? You know what they're called? Why am I not thinking of
it? Was just on the tip of my tongue and it went away.
They're like mines. They call them mines, like Vex mines, I guess. We'll leave it at that. Oh man, the show feedback channel is just going to be on fire on Tuesday. But yeah, that battle was tough. I was soloing this on solo, and I had to stay outside the door just to stay alive at some point. And then of course you got these damn omens flying around trying to grab you and shoot at you, and I just really paced myself, took my time, but that took a good part of my time playing this story was that, you do get a reward chest at the end of it. So, you know, just like, with Witch Queen, you get the reward chest when you get through certain checkpoints of the game, which is really nice because if you need to take a break, go get something to eat, come back, you go right back to that part of the story. You don't have to replay the story again. Very nice, quality of life there.
That's also one of the cheeses I have is if you stay in that first room before you go into the big room where it's at.
Yeah.
You can take everything out and you don't really get hit that much.
That's outside the door. That's where I was hanging out. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. They don't give you a lot of space because they close the back door on you, but you do have some area to hide there. Yeah, I did that method too. And there's like a stack of something, like some cover in front of you. And if you can line it up where your line of sight is right on the Vex mind, and, where you could, just pick away at them once the one thing I wanted to mention is thank you, Bungie, for making pulse rifles anti-barrier this episode, because that Red Death was just doing work, man. Vandal bubbles, forget about it. You're dead, buddy. It was just so nice to use that Red Death, and just anything that put up shields, I was able to just shoot right through. So, it was really nice. A lot of dialogue between Zavala and Crow. Zavala is starting to get very pessimistic. He's so entrenched and so obsessed with these veiled statues that he thinks are talking to him. And then, of course, you go back to the ghost, go back to the radio. That seems to be where, you're ending all your stories. That one took about 40 minutes on normal, which is kind of long. But then after that, the story kind of stops, and we have this like a side mission, but granted, it is related to the story. So it's not you're not vamping and going off into another direction. It's part of the story, but it's not really part of the actual story chapters of the campaign. It's kind of in between the, story 5 and story 6.
Yeah, that actually threw me off, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I went to start it and I was like, this isn't Legend. I have a radar.
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? Is this glitched? Yeah. So I left the game, went back in the game. I was like, what am I doing wrong?
But you know what I loved about this, Nico? Is they made you explore all 3 of the new Lost Sectors.
Yeah, which I really like them, by the way.
And I'm standing ovation for the art team. You'd walk in there, there'd be waterfalls falling through open parts of the cave. Lots of greenery, lots of vegetation. Then it opens up into parts of it looked like the old tower, parts of buildings and stuff that I was very familiar with. Very well done, Bungie. Very well done. Then there's a part 2 of the message, part 3. This is where you're actually doing these missions, and you're going back through all of these, like I said, they want you to discover these 3 new Lost Sectors of the Pale Heart. What do you think of the Lost Sectors?
I really like them. I can't wait to do them on Legend and all those. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. And we find our first ally in the game. What do they call these hive that have their own ghosts? The
Lucent.
We had a Lucent hive wizard called Luzaku, who actually helps us. And then we end up trying to protect her as well in this mission. And that was a really nice touch. And I think I could have sworn she said that Savathun sent her to help us. So I don't know if Savathun's trying to help us. She's just trying to play us. Luzaku states that, this is not an area that's way too bright for shadows of misdirection or treachery. So she kind of reassures us that no, this is all above board. We really want to try to help you. So, I don't know. There's some story in here again. There's some images. Cade has another vision as he's trying to, and we're examining these rifts, these fissures in the Pale Heart where the light is trying to escape. And, it's like the witness is like strangling, if maybe not strangling, but maybe just confining the traveler, right?
It's like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. So, then they do send us to play the liminality strike, which was match made. And I was fine with it. And of course, the other 2 Guardians are on my fire team. We just ran over the enemies. We were tripping over each other to kill everything. I shake my head. I swear to God. I wrote SMH right here because this is what I don't like about strikes, man. God forbid you need to get kills in a strike for your Pathfinder or something like that. You can't get to the enemies quick enough because you got these speedrunners who aren't looking around enjoying the scenery, not pacing themselves through it. They're just like, I want to get through this so I can get done. I got to.
Yeah, that's what bothered me. I really wanted to like look around and see what was going on around me, which normally I don't, because normally I'm like, all right, let's just get this done. But
yeah, new
expansion, I was like, all right, I want to check this out. And I'd turn around and they're already gone, killing the next set. And I'm like, well, all right, I guess I got to catch up.
You know, it is a neat mechanic. You have to grab these balls of light and insert them into these Ahamkara skulls. It was a nice thing. I never had to do it. I never had to go kill the stuff and do it because the two guys I was with, man, they were just like, they were just kind of pushing me away. Said, hey, just kill ads. I was like, okay.
I actually did the mechanics. Ads. Yeah, I had to do the mechanics because they just wanted to stand there and kill stuff. And I was like, really? Okay, I'll go grab them. Yeah, they were just stood in that big room and didn't move. So I was like, all right, guys, I got this.
Yeah, I hear you, man. You get one or the other, you know? You have people who just want to coast, or then you have people who just were like pushing you out of the way. You know, pushing you out of the way to get to kill stuff you were aiming and shooting at already. God,
well, I don't know if they just didn't know the mechanics, which I mean, I didn't. I noticed,
I didn't either.
The door. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in there. But
I mean,
they just stayed there killing things.
Yeah, we're into we're going into the 6th story here, so we pretty much have a grasp on a lot of the mechanics. But I got to admit, the strike was a new mechanic.
Yeah,
it was a new mechanic, so. I had never done it before either, and I realized how to do it once they did it. And remember, I ran through this twice, one on Legend and one on Normal. And Legend was a little slower because, you had all these extra, modifiers that made things a little tougher in the game, like no radar, which sucks. I like having my radar. Another, some more campfire moments. Crow and Zavala are having a tiff, and then Zavala walks away. So, I received this brand new auto rifle though at the end of the story called No Hesitation. This is a brand new support frame auto rifle. It's a 600 RPM. And, whenever you harm targets, it builds these restorative charges. And then all you have to do is hip fire the weapon at allies and it heals them. I noticed, on the raid race, a lot of guys were using this rifle to support and keep their guys alive. I'm just curious how much health it gives you when a bullet hits you, a health bullet, Yeah. Have you tried this thing out yet?
I used it a little bit, not too much because, I had my Amit and my Gnawing Hunger, but I fooled around with it a little bit. And I mean, I liked it for what it was.
The projectiles are really slow though, you notice? Yeah. It's not hit scan, it's actual projectiles. I guess they have to have that in order to apply the heal, right?
Right.
And when I first shot it, I'm like, wait a minute, these bullets aren't really going where I'm shooting. They're kind of like trailing a little bit. So once you get used to it, though, it's pretty fun to use. So I just want to mention that.
I saw it's going to be crafted, so I'll fool around with it once it's crafted.
Yep. I've got a couple frames already from just messing around. So that was a long story element. There was a lot of stuff we did in that sub story. That took me an hour and 20 minutes on normal. It took a chunk of time to play through that. So, I took a break. And you know what? Speaking of breaks, let's take a quick break. I have my required bathroom break, and we'll get back to Story 6 right after this. Hey, Guardians, would you like to send a question for the show to us? There are 4 ways to do it. First, you can join our Discord server at discord.gg/GuardianDowncast. There's also a join link in our show notes down below. We have Guardians from all walks of life and all over the world, from new lights to day one players to hardcore gamers. There's also a channel labeled Podcast Questions where you can type in your question for the show. So come hang out with us. You can also email us with your question at guardiandowncast@gmail.com, or we also occasionally post about our upcoming show and guest, and you can respond there with your question at Guardian_D_cast is our X handle. Finally, you can send us a voicemail with your question at guardiandowncast.com, and we might play it on the podcast. Think of it as talking with us right on the show. Thanks for listening, and later, Guardian. All right, we're back. And this is a good point where we talk about story 6. And it seems like, I don't know about you, Nico, but it seemed like the story made a turn here. It seemed like we were, we rescued Ikora. We got our fire team back. Everything's back to normal. And then shit starts to fall apart. Stuff really starts to go downhill. And maybe that's why it's called Descent, right? But
yeah, I mean, I really felt that even though we were winning per se, they were really pushing us to lose hope.
Yeah, kind of did. What's funny about Descent is that when you start the story up, it actually starts at the end of the strike where you finished before you went to the campfire and talked to everyone. We go to an area of the Pale Heart called the Transgression, which there again, it's like they're teaching you visually all the different areas of the Pale Heart. And the story just keeps rotating around all these different areas. And in each area, there seems to be like a different race, right? It's either Taken or Vex or Hive or Fallen. It's really unique how they did that.
What I like is each race actually fit really well to the zone itself. It wasn't like misplaced per se.
Yeah. Well, in this story, it was all about Tarj, which is Zavala's ghost. It was all about us trying to find Zavala. He stormed off from the campfire without his ghost, and we're frantically trying to find him because we're worried about what he's going to do. And what we do is we go around and we have Tarj talk to these statues, these veiled statues, and little by little, we get information from them. Basically, in a nutshell, we're exiles. We're basically frozen by the witness in these statues until they find our final shape. And it seems to me like these statues are people who maybe had second thoughts about this whole, let's sacrifice ourselves for the common good in the witness, right?
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that.
And, Tarj is trying to talk to these, veiled statues, and they're basically like, listen, you need to join the darkness. You need to accept the darkness, and take it in. And, we're too weak. We can't do anything for you. You have to come in here and we'll talk to you, right? That was kind of the whole spiel of, this story 6. And by the way, you're getting prismatic chest rewards all throughout the checkpoints on these stories. Another big witness boss shows up. I remember the 3 shielded witches room where we had to grab, these energy balls, and we had to slam them we had to throw them at a boss that was shielded, I think. And they used a lot of the Val style, symbols. They weren't Val symbols. They were their own special symbols just for, the Pale Heart. But you had these mazes where you had to go find these, had to kill these super giant, during the Halloween event, you had these giant, knights that I don't even know what race they are. They might be their own race. The giant knights that have these big giant axes. Do you remember what they called those?
I don't know.
Like
I mean,
night walkers or something.
Giant Hive, but
were they Hive? Okay, but dude, these things haunted me literally and figuratively during the Halloween events and the remember the Infinite Forest events and stuff we did in the past.
Yeah,
these things were scary because you couldn't kill them. Well, you can kill these, and when you kill them, you get a symbol that appears, and you got to remember a couple symbols. Then you got to go jump out of the room and, go into the pools that resemble the symbols. Very much like, it's very Val-like, because in Val you had to collect these little, I don't know what you call them, these little darkness pool, like, I don't know, little tabs or something. But this time you had to make sure you picked the ones that corresponded to the symbols. So that was another really bringing it all around kind of mechanic, for this story.
What I didn't like about it, and not that I didn't like about it, the thing that kept getting me was having to grab those acorns for the buff.
Yes.
I would forget, and I'd be like, why is my life going down? And then I'd look and see I'm poisoned. I'm like, crap.
I know, and you don't have much time. You got to find one. Yeah.
And then if you find one, but it's like 2 steps away from the knight, you got to risk your life for it.
You got to do it,
man. That's
man.
how I died quite a few times.
You got to risk it for the biscuit, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was fun, man. It was just a nice tension, in those dark rooms. It reminded me very much of the Caretaker in the Vow, where you had to run in and grab symbols all you can, and then go back out and activate them on the totem outside the. You've only run it. You run Vow yet?
I haven't done Vow yet.
We need to run Vow. I'll get with Allocate. We'll get a Vow run for you. The one room, this was another really tough battle for me. This room was hell, man. And that was the Maelstrom. You remember the Maelstrom? You have this gigantic, Scorn boss that shielded.
Yes.
And then you had these omens that kept trying to push you off the damn platforms. It was, during Legend, this took me a few times to get through. It was really tough. This
is where I busted out the, Nova Bomb.
Yes. Good. Yeah, I think I did on the normal run. I think I did, but I was still using the. I didn't even know I had a Nova Bomb. Don't laugh at me. I was so busy just grabbing what they gave me. I forgot I had a Nova Bomb. What happened? I probably unlocked it and didn't realize it because I was just running through stuff, and I don't know.
I think you start with it, which is probably why you probably didn't know because there wasn't no notification.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But yeah, I actually pulled out. What is it? It is Mantle of the Battle Harmony.
Oh, how'd you like that?
Because I was using Gnawing Hunger, so I'd throw my Nova Bomb and then use that, and by the time I got to the next one, I'd almost have my Nova Bomb back.
Nice. I got to try that one. I've got those boots. I just never remember to use them.
It's a chest.
That's what I meant. Chest. Yeah, I'm thinking of what am I thinking of? No, I got to think what I was thinking of. Battle Mantle. The Mantle Harmony. I've got that one. It's in my vault. But no, I was thinking of the Prometheum Spurs, I think. Creating combination, healing, and empowering rifts. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so this one, final blows with weapons matching your equipped super damage type grants you super energy.
That's awesome. I gotta.
And then when your super is full, you get bonus weapon damage of that type.
Dude, nice. I definitely have to try that. What are those chess pieces called?
It's the Mantle of Battle Harmony.
I know I've got it. There's so many exotics I haven't used a lot because I have my favorites and I just kind of stick with them.
Right.
I just go with what works, man. And this is the first time I've actually used my Getaway Artist in a while. But Esoteric was using it on the last battle when we faced the Witness, and it just seemed to be nice to have, arc buddies and stasis turrets shooting at the same time, independently of you, So I thought it was cool. I'll have to try that, man. But that Maelstrom was tough, man. You had to go across the room a couple times, and you have these winding little staircases everywhere that are really precarious. And I'm not going to share what happens after this because I want you people who played the game know what happens. It involves Zavala, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Shit gets real with Zavala, and really great cutscene, super cutscene, and that was about a 45 to 60 minute story. It took me a while to get through that one.
I will say on that last fight, be very aware of your surroundings because there's so easy just to fall.
Yes.
And then restarting all over again. I died to falling quite a few times.
Oh, I did that too. Where the staircases were disappearing on you and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It was like, get the hell out of here. I'm like, where am I supposed to go? And I went too far, and there's a prismatic chest you got to grab first really quick before you can get the hell out of there. And it's like, your head's on a swivel, but you know what? I love that.
Oh,
Bungie
yeah.
really did a great job, bringing it up to 11, making you really think about what you need to do and not give you much time to think about it.
Right.
So, yeah. And then it finally comes down to probably the hardest story in all of the campaign, and that is Iconoclasm. There's a lot of videos online telling people how to get through this. You have another tough fight with a subjugator, the bigger guys. The Sacrarium. It's another tight quarter fight. Symbols. You have to jump down into rooms underneath and then come back up and do damage, and very Vow-like puzzle mechanic. Very fun to do. And you have more of those big knights again you have to deal with. And then you go through a series of these witness caves again. You hear another traveler scream at some point. You go through another part of the Sacrarium, and this is where you have this giant ogre you're fighting. Oh my God, that was so much fun. jumping through portals. You had to go in the portals and again, Val-like symbols. You had to grab the symbols and come back out. And then Mara comes into the portal. Mara actually comes in. She's like, I'm tired of playing on the outskirts here. I'm in here. I'm with you guys now. So Mara's talking over the comms and stuff. And there's some pretty funny banter between her and Crow.
Yes.
More witness caves, really tricky tunnels. Some of them I got stuck and I had to think about what the hell. Again, the art team at Bungie, well done. Such a beautiful area with, all the egregore and stuff. And, but then, like you said, they finally, it's like the, it's like the witness is like, they've almost given up on you. You've said no so many times. They're like, you know what? They're like a car, no offense, and they're like a car salesman. They're like, you know what? Forget the final shape. We'll just make you a god. And I laughed audibly. I said, dude, they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink. They really want you to accept the darkness, right?
I kind of wish there would have been an option of like a special, cutscene to say, yes, make me a god. I want to see how this plays out.
I thought about it, but then I was like, man, they are really desperate. And that's kind of what gets drawn out is the fact that, they're desperate. And we find out that the witness is actually afraid of us. The witness is actually fearful of us. Probably the first time ever. The witness knows that we can possibly hurt it, or maybe it just is, can't figure out why we keep rebuffing him, that we keep, saying, no, I don't care what you offer. We have something else in mind, and that's to stop your ass.
Well, it clicked in my mind, cause at first I was like, yeah, I want to be a god. I'll take that offer. But when he started being fearful, it was like, I already am a god, and that's why he's scared.
Yeah, exactly. We've killed gods, and we use their, we use their body as a hat, right? We make their body a hat.
Exactly. I mean, we have prismatic. We are using everything intertwined.
We got light and dark. We're already good, buddy.
We're God now. Thank you.
Exactly. Oh, I laughed so hard when I heard that. I was like, I was chuckling to myself. But probably just like Lightfall, the very last mission, we have to face down the witness. And I just want to give people a few tips on this because this seems to be a sticking point. In fact, when I finally got it done on Legend solo, I actually made a video and put it on my YouTube channel. At first, I just put the raw gameplay out there, and then I said, you know what? I need to do this again. I need to do this better. So I actually have like a little monologue at the beginning, just sharing some tips. And then I show the gameplay and that people can see how I'm using this, in this final encounter. Cause this final encounter, I don't know about you, man, it was a bitch. This final encounter was a bitch. If you're playing solo Legend, yeah, solo Legend was tough. So, just want to give a few tips here since I've already released it on my YouTube video as well. But you basically jump into an arena, very much like a closed arena with, the big boy at the end of Lightfall. Jeez, man. What is it with names tonight? Fat Boy.
Crotus?
Fat Boy. Has all the jewelry. Leviathan boss. I cannot believe I can't remember.
Oh my God.
I've already forgotten him that quickly. I don't even remember his name. It's Keidel's father. Cabal. Wow. I can't believe I've already forgotten him. Anyway, it'll come to me.
Callus.
I'll edit that out. Don't worry about it.
That's his name, Callus.
Yeah. Oh, let me do it again. Yeah. And then we, it was very much like an arena, like, when we fought Callus in the, in Lightfall. And Callus was a bitch, man. That was I did that one solo Legend too, but it took me a long time to figure it out. I
one-shot that.
What?
I don't know why, but that I had no issues with.
Dude, that one gave me fits. In fact, I didn't even play it again on Legend on my other characters. I just said, no, I don't want to go through that. I got lucky and got through it. I'm good. Thank you. Playing it on normal is much easier. So, but, this last fight was very much reminding me of the Callus fight. It, there's certain workflow you want to do when there's 3 damage phases that you got to go through on this last fight. And all the while, the witness is throwing knives at you. Just never lets up. And you got to be behind cover all the time. I will tell you this, stay in the back 2 rows. Don't get up any closer than those back 2 rows unless you need to, well, you'll see later in the thing you need to run up front. But, first thing I did when I ran in there is, and once the omen appears down in the middle, and you have to 2-phase the omen because it gets a shield at half health, is I killed everything that flew because it would disrupt you and slow you down. And then here comes the witness to finish you off. So I killed the flyers. I don't know the name of the flyers. I never do remember the name of the flyers, but these little frickin' weavers down at the base in front around the omen, they grab you with that damn strand and can yank you up to the front. Died several times that way.
Yes.
So my job one, when I went in there, kill the flyers, kill all those damn weavers at the bottom. Just pop out of cover, take those little bitches out, and then start getting pot shots at the omen at the bottom. And then you, of course, have to go get an Aegis and do some stuff to take the shield off them and then finish them off again. And you just rinse, repeat that again. And all the while, it just intensifies and intensifies. And then it's really, the mechanic is really cool. You basically are teleporting into an area where the actual statues talk to you because you've accepted that you've joined into or accepted the darkness at the end. So it was just so cool, man.
One tip I will give is I used the Dragon's Breath rocket launcher because you shoot the Omen guy in the middle, right, and once it starts blowing up, it also takes out the Weavers.
Oh, good point. Good point, man. I love it. That's the thing. You could use all kinds of different strategies here. It was really this prismatic subclass gives you so many options on what you want to use. I think it gives you a lot of freedom on what you want to use. So, bravo, Bungie. This new subclass, I haven't taken it off yet. And I didn't think I'd be using it. I thought it was just going to be just like Strand. You know, it's got some cool stuff. The Needle Storm's nice. The super, but I really like what I have on the Transcendence class now. So, but, that was the longest mission for me. That took an hour and a half on normal. But, and then that basically brought you to we're in a kind of a waiting pattern, right? Once we got through the campaign, and I will just say this, those times I gave you were all normal. And I know you haven't played it on normal, Nico, but I've played it on normal and I played it on legend, both solo. Normal, I felt like I was impenetrable. I felt like I could just run over anything. I really had no fear about stuff hurting me. I think I died 2 times the entire campaign because of all the Transcendent classes, all the healing buffs and stuff that I had set up. I really could do no wrong playing normal. So if you just want to get through the story, you don't want to sweat all of the big bosses and stuff. You just want to kind of casually go through the game. Play it on normal. I'm trying to write it down here. It took me a total of 7.5 hours on normal, but you need to add 25 to 35% more if you're going to do Legend solo because the bosses are so much beefier. You have to whittle them down a little bit slower than you usually used to. But how long did it take you, Nico?
21.5 hours.
Holy shit, dude. 21 hours of gameplay? Really?
Yeah. So I was taking screenshots.
Oh,
that's
right.
Part of it, but I was also coming home after work.
Yeah.
My Vance is worn off. I'm butt tired.
I bet. And
some of those fights, you step one toe in the wrong direction and you're restarting. And some of those checkpoints were a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
With the witness taking 3 hours, I would get to like the second Omen guy, and then the prismatic guys would come in like the part 2 of that fight, and that would just get me, and I'd be like, I don't want to do this all over again.
That last fight in Iconoclasm against the witness, and even the one in Maelstrom, were really tough, and the other areas, what were they called them, the Sacrarium. You had 2 Sacrarium fights too. You really had 1, 2, 3, 4 really tough battles in Iconoclasm. it is definitely going to take you the longest time in that mission. 7.5 hours, like I said, on normal. I pretty much felt like I was just running through, enjoying the story. I was more relaxed, but solo legend, it actually seems pretty easy. It's kind of a little, deceiving at first, right, Nico? Cause you're kind of blowing through the early missions pretty easily and you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be pretty dope.
Yeah. Once I got to 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
You start not necessarily hit a wall, but you're like, okay, they're not screwing around now.
Yeah. Story 4 was I think Requiem, where you're searching for Zavala. Yeah. Yeah. That was a tough one. That brig, man, that brig was tough. And that it was a nice open field though. It was kind of a neat, the battlefield the areas we were fighting just are so varied. It was really cool.
Yeah.
But, if you're going to run it on solo legend, I did get my 260 gear. I came back to the tower, got my 1960 power, weapons and armor, by the way. So instantly I was 1960. I did play it on normal, just upgrading stuff as stuff dropped, just to let you know. And I would think I was at 1945, 1948 playing on normal, just getting normal powerful drops from Ingrams and exotics or whatever fell from season pass or whatever. I'm just letting you know. But 1945 to 1948 is what I ended up as I was using the myriad of upgrade modules that I couldn't even get rid of. There were so many of them. So I said, what the hell? Let's just upgrade stuff, try to max out my light and my power and see where I'm at the end of the normal. And that's where I ended up. So, but then here's the thing, man. We're in that waiting period, right? For me, the raid race is the next morning. I finished, Wednesday early afternoon. And then once I realized how hard that final Face the Witness battle was on the Iconoclasm storyline, I said, I need to make a video about this because there's probably a lot of people out there that are really struggling on this part. And that's when I released the videos out on my YouTube channel. Todd the Gator. And, like I said, the second one is better because it actually has some tips. It tells you it shows you stuff you should have equipped, the certain mods I had that were helping me out, especially reload mods and, resistance mods and stuff. So check that video out. Like I said, if you are getting stuck at that part of the mission. And, that's why I didn't want to go too deep in some of the stories tonight because I really think some people are probably still trying to get through some of this. Being it's 6 days out since it was dropped. So here's the thing though, Nico, once I got that done, I don't know if you had this problem, but I was like, okay, where do I go now to unlock the Pale Heart? I was like, the Pale Heart, I'm looking at it. There's no landing zones anywhere. It's not really letting me do anything in the Pale Heart. So I was confused. I was like, I don't know what. It's very confusing when you finish the campaign. At least it was for me because I was looking around like, okay, I got an exotic mission over here, but I don't really want to do that now. I just want to open up the Pale Heart. Well, a little PSA here. When it comes to opening up the Pale Heart open world, once you complete the Iconoclasm mission, you go talk to your ghost, you get your gear if you're doing it legend or whatever, I guess the triumph or whatever you get for completing the initial campaign. What you have to do, I did some digging on this and you realize that you have to do that exotic mission, which is the exotic sword, which is called glad I got my game open tonight, which is called the Ergo Sum. And boy, I got to tell you, man, you can get all the elements of this sword. You can get a void one, you can get an arc one and a solar one. And they have all these weird, I heard one had Wolfpack rounds from like the Galahorn.
I did not have to do that mission to open a Pale Heart.
You did not? Well, what it did is it opened up once I did that mission. It's called the Queen's something. And at least the research I did said you needed to do those missions because it then opened up another mission called I think I've already completed it now, but there was another mission called Convalescence. And once you did the Convalescence mission, the first part of it, then everything just opened up. So, and I'm looking at my notes here. I did the exotic mission and finished that. I got the sword. It just says you need to follow that mission in order to unlock the Paleheart world for exploration. Maybe it tied in with something else at the same time, but that was very confusing to me, man.
I don't think you have to finish that mission. I think you have to start it.
Maybe that's it. That's it. You're right. I went ahead and followed it through and finished it. You got my first sword, but you're right. You probably have to just do the first part of that exotic mission, and it unlocks everything. What are your impressions of the Paleheart now that it's open and you've explored it a little bit? And we won't go into detail too much because this is kind of what we're going to talk about next week on the next episode next week is about the episodic stuff that dropped in the actual Paleheart and stuff we're doing in the in there. But before that though, did you watch the raid race?
I did not.
Because we were in a holding pattern.
Yeah, I didn't finish the campaign until 5:30 Friday night.
Okay.
So I went to bed after that, and then I woke up this morning hoping that the raid race would be already over so I could just get in there.
You and me both, brother. I was up at 3 a.m. from 1 o'clock when they started the Twitch Rivals stream. And when the raid opened up at 1 o'clock, I was following Dado, Salta Greppo. I was on Professor Broman's channel with the Twitch Rivals, getting my emblems, because you got to watch 2 hours of each of those and to unlock the emblems, and I got them unlocked. But I said, what I did is I just played the entire campaign on my other account, and I had the raid race kind of muted, just watching them, because they got so competitive at the end there that no one wanted to share information because people were tuning into other people's streams to kind of get some information on what's going on. And they had their other than the game sounds, they had all of their voice chat muted. In fact, Dado would call it Omaha and had a picture of
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning, because he's always going Omaha at that snap.
Yeah.
And I said, I really don't need to hear the game sound. I don't really need to hear that. I just want to see how they're trying to figure it out. And I sat there and watched it while it was muted while I played the campaign story again. And at 3 a.m., people were still on the the third encounter. That seemed to be the hang up. What was cool about the third encounter is it actually makes an image of each of the people in the fire team down to their armor. It was like a little replica of you standing on a platform. And I don't know the mechanics or anything. I don't know anything about that, but they were trying to figure out different shapes and stuff and trying to figure out how to do it. And I'll tell you what, man, only one team got world's first within, I think, a 24-hour period. And it was this afternoon. Data was still playing. I think it went well over 24 hours.
And if I believe from what I saw, it was someone who wasn't even streaming it that got it.
Yeah, it was a team from nowhere, man. Team Parabellum. Yeah. Team Parabellum ended up winning it. 19 hours. It's a new record. 6 years ago, the reigning record was Last Wish, but that was mainly because we were all underpowered trying to go through that raid. And we weren't underpowered on this raid. There was a fixed amount. It was contest mode. There was a fixed amount. Didn't matter how much power you had. There was a fixed power level in each encounter. So it's not like they were getting run over. It was all the puzzles and mechanics, man. I'll tell you what, Nico, I know you love puzzles in raids because you play a lot of WoW. You're going to love this raid, man. You're going to eat this raid up. Well, that's
one of the reasons I didn't watch it is because I know for sure I'm going to get in and do this raid.
Sure.
So I wanted to go in there and experience it as the end,
Yeah. But the Paleheart, the Paleheart was open and I played around in the Paleheart a little bit. I did some of these, the Queens, the 2 adventures at the old tower, the Queen Part 1, Queen Part 2. I don't remember the exact name of it, but Queen is in the name. They were a lot of fun, dude. They were so much fun. Reminded me of the Throne World missions. Didn't it to you? Didn't it remind you of the Throne World? You have all these secrets everywhere, and I don't know.
I have not done the adventures yet. I was just fun. Roaming around in the different parts of the Paleheart just to experience it.
Yeah. And there's just so many things to do. I compare this, like I said, world size to a Throne World from Witch Queen, but maybe a little bit larger, in my opinion. The thing I loved about this world is that it's the first time ever this has ever happened. There's no other guardians roaming around. It's just you. And of course, if you bring a fire team in, I think you can bring 3 people with you, I think.
I believe so.
You can have a fire team of 3 if you guys all just want to jump in and start doing stuff, which is really cool, man. I know people are going to call me antisocial, but I like to go around and complete stuff without someone in the world like killing stuff purposely when I'm trying to kill it, or shoot at me and teabag and all this griefing shit that we get. We're in the just the regular patrol zones. And it's not as bad as it used to be because not many people do patrol zones anymore, but I'm out there farming Glimmer. I'm getting gunsmith engrams. I'm doing all these different things to just stock up on things and rank up my gunsmith to unlock stuff as well. And it just seemed like everywhere you turned in this new Paleheart, there was something going on. And I got to admit, man, my ADHD was off the charts. It literally was like me waking up to a Christmas tree loaded with presents. You want to open all of them, but you can't decide which one to open first. And I was just almost like frozen in headlights,
I started doing what I always do, and that was chests first. I wanted to get all
Region chest?
The golden chest, yeah.
I haven't done
I get that chest. Dopamine hit.
Dude, I tried. I couldn't. The Region chests are really hidden well.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to find one in Impasse earlier today, and it wasn't on the cliff. It wasn't under the cliff. So it must be a cavern somewhere that I'm not seeing. Maybe it's in a lost sector nearby or something, but I was having a hard time. But I tell you what, it didn't matter. Everywhere you turn, there's some kind of little puzzle. There's one puzzle where you have to roll a literal ball, like a bramble ball into a power socket. And you get a reward chest for it. Dude, for the dopamine hits, it is well done. And yeah, another thing is like on Europa, you have this ever changing weather. You have these dust storms that move in. In fact, I took a small, like 8 or 9 a second video today, and I was looking around. I'm going, what the hell is going on in this patrol zone? Cause I'm not used to that, It was like the end of the world, man. It was black. It was dust flying everywhere. I couldn't see shit. And I'm like, what is going on here, man? I can't see where the hell I'm going. And then eventually it clears up. But you can do all these different things while that dust storm is going on too. I did what is like the public event thing that you can do solo?
The overthrows?
I did all the way a tier 4 overthrow where I fought the big boss at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an escalation protocol where you're trying to, you actually, what I really love about it, it actually gives you a kill count. You have to kill 1,000. You have to get 1,000 points. Every time you kill like a red bar, you get a point. But if you open a chest, it's like 25 points. If you grab, the local planetary material, I can't remember what it's called, you get 15 points, I think. And, that was one of the things on my Pathfinder. I completed my first Pathfinder today too. And one of the things was I had to get through a tier 3 overthrow. Yeah. And I said, what the hell? I'm at tier 4 now. I surpassed 3. I might as well just go finish the boss off and see what happens. And it was not easy, but it was a lot of fun, man.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So I don't know how much you've done on the Paleheart, but, like I said, it's, the region chests are on my list. Trust me. It's one of the things I do usually first, but it's like, dude, I started walking through there and there were just so many things to go check out.
Yeah, like the revelations just pop up and it's like, oh, well, I'm going to do this little puzzle. Because there's one in the landing where you have to kill, I believe it's a knight, and you got to pick up the orb that he drops and then jump through a portal.
Yes.
And that threw me off at first. I was walking around with this thing like, what do I? Yeah. And then I noticed it. But yeah, I mean, they put a lot of thought into the little things.
They did.
And it's always going on. It's like, I mean, it's called the Paleheart, and it's like it's alive around you.
It is crazy, man. It really is.
Hey, this is Bill. Remember to ring that notification bell and keep listening to Guardian Downcast.
there, like I said, there's like little adventures like there was in the old tower, which, like I said, is the hub now. It's pretty nice. Like I said, I played a few of them. The storylines and everything are very well done. They're absolute gems of storytelling. Don't skip them, by the way. There can be some really challenging missions in there. And I did do the Wild One exotic sniper rifle, because what I found out, and Bungie tweeted this out, you have to do that exotic sniper rifle mission in order to unlock what happened after the raid race was finally done. And that was this 12-person match-made activity called Excision. And I don't know how much we want to spoil about this.
Well, I'll say this.
Okay.
The wild card mission is a great mission. It's a little drawn out.
Wild card. I said wild one. Wild card. Yes.
Yeah. But the story from start to finish is really good. The ending, worth it.
Something between Cade and Crow, and it's very, very important to the story.
And as far as the 12-person mission, I'll say this. They need more 12-person activities. It's chaotic, but fun.
Dude, for the first time, I actually felt like I was part of the community. I actually felt like, we were all working together to finally take down the Witness. And yes, I know I said, what if the Witness doesn't die? I will stand by this. The Witness, I don't know if it died. Something happens to it and it says something at the end, and I'm going to let you figure that out. But it did have a callback, a lot of character callbacks where it showed a lot of the past characters from all the Destiny DLCs, campaigns, and it showed all of these Guardians and races. Cadle was there and her crew, and the Fallen, the House of Light was all there, and Zavala had a great speech, super great cutscene. It was just so well done. And it was actually a series of cutscenes. It wasn't just one cutscene. You had one at the beginning, then you had the big battle, the 12-man activity. Then once that was done, and I'm not going to say we killed the Witness because it's not proven. The cutscenes, man, I was rubbing my eyes pretty badly. I think my wife was making dinner or something. I don't know what was going on.
Those allergies kicked in.
I think she was chopping onions. I really did but seriously, man, I really do not get emotional about video games. I really don't. Movies, I'm a total sucker, man. My wife says I'm a blubbering fool when it comes to watching movies. I'm very sensitive guy. I really get into the character development. I really get into movies when I watch them, but video games really never grab me for some reason. But holy shit, man, that ending cutscene, I couldn't hold back the emotion. It was so strong. It was such a strong emotion. You know why, Nico? I think it was because it made you reflect on the full 10 years that I played this game, that we played this game.
I was just going to say that.
It makes you reflect about the 10-year journey that we were all on, and it finally gives closure to it. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Shit.
10 years
10
and
years.
It's over.
10 years of my life, man. I mean, according to Lana, I only got 15 more to live. I'm never going to let that go, Lana. Never going to let that comment go. I love you for it though. I really do. But dude, the way it ends, and I'm not going to share that either. I'm not going to share how it ends. The very, very last cutscene. But, Bungie has a message for you. And, just the way they left it.
Yeah.
You even messaged me and says, I think my game's broken, man. I'm like, no, man.
Yeah, I did.
That's the point. That's the point. Bungie did that on purpose. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say, because there may be people who are just finishing it up. But holy shit, man.
I messaged my wife and told her about that, and she goes, that is cool as shit. And I was like, I know. They definitely did the correct thing for the ending of this saga.
Yeah. But bravo, Bungie. I don't know how else to say it. You really came through on this. I don't know what else to say. It just was just so well done. And, everyone says, oh, and when Bungie's back's against the wall, they finally get their shit together and they finally put out a good game. And, we had to endure Lightfall. Lightfall was not the easiest game for some of us. And, a lot of people checked out. But, wow, what a way to end it, right?
One of my favorite campaign stories in probably almost any game I've played. It's definitely up there.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. I wanted to go through the campaign because it was just so well done. I wanted to kind of relive it and kind of point out the things that we both loved about it and things that maybe were frustrating about it. And any final thoughts, Nico, before we go tonight, man? Any final thoughts on the campaign, the story, the activities, anything you want to talk about, man?
Yeah, so when I picked up Destiny, it was just another cool space game. Plenty of flaws, great game nonetheless. But even though I took a lot of breaks throughout the years, I always came back and I couldn't wait to get back to the story. And as an OG player, because, playing Destiny 1, I feel like I grew with these characters. It's been 10 years. We laughed, we cried, we got mad. Hell, sometimes we even got bored. But coming back to Destiny at Lightfall, basically a year and a half ago, the campaign was alright. Seasons were okay, some better than others. But then Final Shape announced. Then delayed. It definitely took some patience, but we got here. And I'll say this, hands down, worth the wait. The campaign alone was an emotional roller coaster. I enjoyed this campaign better than any other in Destiny, and it's over. I mean, think about that. An entire decade, and it's over. Yeah, we have stories coming, but the saga is over. I can't wait to see what's next, but I'm also worried about what's next. How does Bungie top this? Can they top this? I personally don't know, but I can say I will be here to find out.
Well said, man. Well said. This is, by far, the best Destiny campaign story I've ever played. I mean, going all the way back to the very first DLC, Dark Below, which I was there, man. Which I think, if I remember, it came out around Christmas 2014. We had just finished the Vault of Glass, which was the very first raid ever in Destiny. And I've never done a raid in my life, man. I'm a Call of Duty player. Vault of Glass opened my eyes to how much more this game is than just running around patrols and doing story missions. And then the camaraderie of 5 other people around you that you end up knowing more about than you ever thought you would ever know. And then fast forward to a whole community now that we all have this common passion and we love this game so much. And then, I think, what was it? September, I think, was probably the toughest part of Destiny to date. The House of Wolves dropped, which introduced us to the Awoken race, the Trials of Osiris. People may not know that. That's when Trials of Osiris entered the arena. Then Taken King, which, brought us Oryx and really redirected the franchise, because I remember players weren't liking that level 29 forever type of economy in game. And if you don't know what Forever 29 means, it means unless you went through the Vault of Glass raid and got certain materials out of chest or got your level 30 armor or weapons, that was the only way to get to level 30, which was the max back then. But Taken King brought about this new light system really opened up the game for all of us Guardians. I have a lot of friends of mine that were diehard Call of Duty fans that actually engaged with Destiny because of this fact that you could upgrade your armor and weapons to a higher number. And we're both of the same mind, Nico. We like that number when it goes up. And dopamine goes up too, right?
Yes.
Then, you know, the last DLC of Destiny 1, Rise of Iron, which brought about this artifact system, which gave us Guardians more flexibility in how we play the game. By the way, it's not the artifact that we know today. It was just a different perks that you would get in game when you held this artifact. Then the start of Destiny 2. The game nearly died, man. The studio really didn't hit the mark. I don't think it had its players in mind. I think they had an idea of what they thought we would like. And, you know, they had the double primary play. And remember the special weapons like shotguns were in the heavy slot? Remember that?
Yeah.
I remember playing the beta on PC like it was yesterday on controller. And I was having the time of my life. Then Curse of Osiris, which probably was the most hated expansion. Remember the 2 tokens in a blue? They had that, I remember poor Deej said, now here we go. Here we go. Most rewarding public event ever in the history of Destiny. And boom, 2 tokens and a blue. It was the biggest meme for the longest time in the Destinyverse. Then, you know, Warmind came on Mars. Destiny 2 was starting to see some signs of life. You know, we're fighting the Worm God. Then the big one, Forsaken. That brought so many quality of life improvements in the game. It seemed like Bungie finally was listening to their players and was just, I mean, I remember sitting at the screen when I first was playing solo, the missions in Forsaken. And for the first time in my life, there was so much stuff flashing at me on the screen. I literally had to turn it off. I was overloaded with information. I had to turn it off. I know you're like, poor Gator. No, I'm serious. I really can roll with stuff usually, but there was so much stuff to do. I couldn't decide what to do next. You know, they started with the Triumph system. They improved the bounty system. New missions. They had new missions, ways of doing things and getting things done. Gambit. I know. It was fun back then. It was something new. Remember the mod system? That was brought about in Forsaken. 35 exotic armor and weapons. Probably the longest day one raid race, you know, until now. Don't forget that that's when the new season pass bar and the new seasonal content was introduced. And the seasonal missions. Then Shadowkeep, which you can say what you will about Shadowkeep, but it introduced us to 2 really cool things. The pyramid ships and those veil statues. And we know what those all mean. You know, we know what those are all about now, right? We know exactly what those veiled statues of the moon were. Then Beyond Light, which introduced us to the darkness subclasses and Europa. And our eyes were wide open as far as what travesties were going on at the Clovis Bray facilities. Then Witch Queen, which finally shined a light on this Savathun character we kept hearing about, right? We kept hearing about this hive god called Savathun, who was very treacherous. And we finally got to know a lot about Savathun. And this is when they came out with this new campaign story system and the legend and regular runs that you could do on it. The Throne World reminds me a lot of the Pale Heart. Tons of secrets, tons of stuff to unlock. I think there's stuff on the Throne World I still haven't unlocked yet. And then Lightfall was very highly anticipated. I mean, the title alone, Lightfall, it just sounded really dire, right? Sounded like something really dire was going to happen. Well, most of us, we know what happened there. The story was a little thin, and it was, I honestly think it was something Bungie had to do to create what we're playing today. I have to chalk up Lightfall as the sacrificial lamb that Bungie had to put out there to keep us busy while they put the final touches on the final shape. Then the delay, right? You talked about, Nico. 6 more months out. And I'll tell you what, as a Destiny podcaster, even though I was the Destiny optimist, I'm the Destiny shill, as everyone would call me all the time. some doubts trickled in. And I was a little bit worried that Bungie really couldn't win. They couldn't really make everyone happy. And I must say, of all the possible outcomes, I think Bungie nailed it this time. You know, as we talked about it tonight, the storyline was on point as its first end-to-end story that made players block out everything else in the Destinyverse. I really think that was a fitting close to the Light and Dark storyline. 10 years talking about it, and now we know the entire picture of Light and Dark and how the Witness lied to us about how it was all supposed to be. Lots of long-time stories in the game I felt that we got a lot of closure on, and we talked about that during the show. You know, I can go on, but if this is the way that Bungie is producing content in the future, I'm in, man. You mentioned, Nico, that you don't know where we're going from here, right?
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to mention here is Destiny 2 YouTube channel put out something on, I think yesterday, I think it was yesterday. They posted this. They're going to have I don't know if it's a live stream or a Vidoc or whatever. My guess is it's a Vidoc on Monday, June 10th. That's today. If you're listening to this podcast as it's released, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The video or the Vidoc or whatever it's called, The Journey Ahead. So with all of the crap I've thrown against the wall trying to speculate what the future of Destiny is going to be, we might actually get an answer on Monday.
Yeah.
So,
unless it's just, hey, here's more about stories. If they do that, I don't think it's going to go over very well. But as you were describing Lightfall, something kind of clicked in my little ADHD brain. And Lightfall is the perfect name because the story was light and the player base fell.
I'm going to use that as a soundbite, dude. That's going to be a soundbite for later. I love it.
I mean, it fits, though.
I never thought of it that way, but you nailed it. You hit it right on the head, dude. Nice. Like I said, I want to thank everyone who has been listening to the podcast all these years. And hopefully Nico and I today, you know, we're both ready to jump into the first episode, Echoes, which will be releasing on Tuesday, Reset. I'll have another friend of the show joining me next week as we go over our thoughts on the new seasonal content. We'll talk more about the Pale Heart and the activities and stuff we've encountered in there. There's so much more left to play and learn and acquire in this new Pale Heart. I can't wait to jump in. I'm a little intimidated by this new Salvation's Edge raid. After watching 15 hours of the 19 hours raid race, and higher than that for some streamers out there. But when the opportunity presents itself, I'll be there. I'm there. I want to try it out. But
Me too.
Just a little intimidated. I need a little break. I need to think about it for a while, and then finally get the courage to jump in here and do it. And I'm sure the raid guides will be flowing here soon, the next few days, on how to get it done.
Oh yeah.
So Nico, brother, thank you for helping me out today. Really appreciate your input on what you thought about the story. And, and you did it Legend solo, man. That's not easy to do. So
it was frustrating, but it was fun. And, as always, it's a pleasure being on the show with you.
Thanks, man. Well, where can people find you out there in the Destinyverse?
Right now it's pretty much just Discord. That's kind of all I do. I have a X. It's at Nikos_lounge. I don't post as much as I should because I always forget I have it, but I'm trying to get that going.
I hear you, brother. I hear you, man. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you again for helping me out, helping me, parse out all the parts of the story campaign this week. And, man, I can't say it enough. Well done, Bungie. And well done, Bungie developers. I know you guys don't hear it enough, but thank you for creating such an awesome world to play a game in.
Yeah, for all the shit they took this past year, they deserve all the credit in the world.
Sony, you better give them some money. They did such a great job. This should solidify Sony's relationship with this franchise. And hopefully we'll know on Monday if how the future of the game is going to go from here, right? So.
And yeah. Sony, stop leaking shit.
God, Sony, what were you thinking? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Guardians, would you like to give back to our community? If you received any value from today's podcast episode and would like to give back, head over to our website, GuardianDowncast.com, and select the Patreon button to see what extra perks and benefits you can get from the several tiers of membership available. If you would like to give a one-time donation, click on our PayPal button and follow the prompts. Our community runs on our membership, and we never accept outside sponsors or advertisers. We're Guardian Downcast. Your stories, your community, your destiny. That was a lot of fun. Thank you again, NicoakaJerzey, for helping me out, just stopping by and chilling out with me about this great story that Destiny released this week. Hey, I just want to mention that if you guys are enjoying what you're listening to today, hey, could you do me a favor? Could you go to our website, GuardianDowncast.com, and leave us a review? There's a button right there where you can do it. Makes it really simple, whether it's on Spotify or Apple Podcast. I appreciate that. I want to give some special Patreon shout outs. Thank you to all of our Patreon community out there that helps run this show every week, day and night. Thank you to our Tip Jar patrons, our Gatorade patrons, and our Fist Bump patrons. Also, a quick shout out to our Dungeon Champion patrons. That's Technical, Raph, Wicked Trinity, Deadpool 1 Merc, and a thank you to our Day 1 Raid Boss patrons. That's Jealous and Frostbite, TL Tim, Amazing Taco King, and NicoakaJerzey. Thank you all for giving back to the show, and more importantly, giving back to our community. Well, that's a wrap. Another episode in our collection. We had a really great show last week with our Guardian Downcast Megacast live show. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that. It's episode 254. And let me know what you think. Head off in our Discord. That's discord.gg/Guardian Downcast and the show feedback channel. Give us some feedback on what you liked or did not like on the show. And it only makes our show get better and better. Next week, I have Mr. Kingsley Mack joining me, and we're going to go over the first episodic DLC, Echoes. We're going to talk about that. We'll probably mention Kingsley's experience with the campaign as well, and really get into all the cool things that we're finding on the Pale Heart. So check out that next week. You can contact me via Twitter at Todd the Gator. That's 2 D's and GATR. You can find me on Steam and PS5 playing Destiny 2. I have a YouTube channel, Todd the Gator, which I create videos to help new players. I just posted, like I said, a new help video on the last Iconoclast mission, Legend Solo. I had a lot of fun playing that, and check that out if you haven't already. I do some streaming on occasion on my YouTube channel as well, usually doing some raids or something with the community, so look out in the Todd the Gator content channel. That's where I post all of my live streams, all of my new videos or shorts that I put out as well. I have another podcast called the Destiny Help Desk that I've kind of reworked on the format. It's a Guardian Downcast is more news and community, but think of Destiny Help Desk as having a singular focus on one aspect of the game, Destiny 2. Whether it's learning where to find Destiny lore, build crafting, and all different ways to play the Crucible, anything in the game. You can find that podcast anywhere that you find this podcast you're listening to right now. So just search for Destiny Help Desk or go to destinyhelpdeskpodcast.com to find out more. All right, before we go tonight, we have a Scumdeath Corner for everyone this week. So Uncle Scumdeath, hey, what's going on in the UK today, brother?
Hello, and welcome to Scumdeath Corner. As we speak, I am downloading the final shape. Eventually. I was an hour in. I'm not buying the 89 quid version. Not just yet. I'm going to Auschwitz in 2 weeks' time, so I can't afford that. So, yeah, I've downloaded just the, 42 quid version? That'll do for a minute. And I'll keep applying money as they request. But yeah, I'm quite buzzing for it, actually. I installed it the other day. Well, I installed Destiny because I haven't played it for ages, and I managed to get through that first sort of campaign bit. That was pretty awesome. It took me bloody ages. An hour, 2 hours. But must admit, I was wandering around looking around at all the scenery and stuff like I used to in the old days. So yeah, so I am quite looking forward to it. But I find Destiny hard as hell on my own. So probably throughout the whole campaign, I shall be pulling any of you in to help me because I just can't deal with these end of level bosses on my own. Fucks me up, pisses me off, and makes me want to throw the joypad out the fucking window. So, or controller, whatever you call it these days. We've had that conversation before. Yeah, so yeah, I'm quite excited. I'm going to do an online quiz. There's a game on PS4 called It's Quiz Time. I'm going to play a bit of that with the missus.
That's a great game.
Till she goes to bed. And then, yeah, when she goes to bed, a bit of Destiny 2. So if I get stuck, well, actually, it's Friday. You're not going to hear this till Monday. So you never know. By the time you hear this, some of you might have helped me get through some of the campaign this evening on Friday night. But we'll see. I'll have a go myself. But if I get stuck, I shall be calling a couple of you in. So yeah, happy days. Can't wait. So, I'll tell you what. Love you all. And I'll see you. What do they say? I don't know what they say. See you in orbit. Love ya. Boo.
I think the term is later, Guardian. Hey, speaking of community members, I want to give a shout out to our member of the week. And that's Mr. Scarlet KM. The Scarlet KM. Thanks, buddy. You've been really great and instrumental helping people get in and out of the clans and always very well at directing people where they need to go in the Discord. So special shout out to the Scarlet KM this week as our member of the week. Thank you, sir. Remember, as we are playing the new final shape, take breaks, get outside and touch some grass, dimly. Hey, remember, we're Guardian Downcast, your stories, your community, and your destiny. And be good to your fellow Guardians in the Destinyverse.
The weight of the world was on your shoulders, and still you triumphed. Marvelous.
Thank you all so very much for listening. And later, Guardian.
Lightfall is the perfect name because the story was light and the player base fell.
Player support report. Scarlet, what's going on at the player support report for this week?
Oh, just broken.
Thank you, sir.